Hello. Okay, it looks like I've got pretty poor lighting. I am outside in my outdoor workspace. There we go. There. Now I can wiggle around. All good. I'm always happiest when I can wiggle. So, still practicing this whole talking thing. I didn't go live yesterday because I was just nonverbal. I got all ready and I was physically prepared to do an update in terms of dressed and ready, but I just didn't have a voice yesterday. So here I am today. So again, you get what you get and you don't get upset because that's life. Anyway, so you probably read my posts regarding COVID. Obviously, if you're following, I have very good reason to be looking for answers because Ruby and I are both high risk of the disease, and so far every single issue that has been uncovered about the vaccines applies to us. So we are looking for the answers selfishly. And that's usually the best place to start, quite honestly, is to look for things to help yourself and then help others. So that's what I've been doing. But I'll tell you, it is not easy to find peer-reviewed information. There's a lot of information and there are a lot of peers, but there's not this communication yet that should be going on, that should have been going on for the last 100 years, quite frankly, or all of eternity. But unfortunately, when the people who should be responsible for things have their power taken away from them by the people who control the finances, all of a sudden the wrong people are making decisions. And that's what we're facing right now. Financial decisions have been made regarding COVID and its treatment. And I think to a great extent, it's just because that's how everything is done. And this has fallen prey to the same system that's broken. But what I have found is that there's an outstanding amount of brave people who are doing like I'm doing, who are compiling information that they are finding and sharing it, because information is supposed to be free. And the whole idea is that we communicate, we discuss, we debate. We don't argue for the sake of belittling. We discuss in order to learn. And that's how we keep getting to better answers. That's evolution. And somehow evolution seems to have stopped. So we got to get that back, because regardless of what the media is telling you, it doesn't matter what it looks like where you are. When something is defined as a pandemic, that means it can no longer be controlled at the epidemic level. It's no longer just a local problem. It is a global problem. So if it hasn't been addressed globally, then it is not being treated globally. And clearly, that hasn't happened yet because the poorest countries have not been dealt with. Yep, we're hearing things about Pfizer in Africa. We're hearing about some efforts in India. I am concerned about India. I'm particularly concerned about Israel. I don't understand why the FDA is in Israel. They're especially in what is it called? The whole Jerusalem. Jerusalem is an international city, so I don't quite understand how that happens. But there's a lot going on that I don't understand, and I'm trying to understand it. And in doing so, I am sharing with you. So, you want to hear from the smartest people? I'm among those, and here I am talking to you. We cannot get rid of this pandemic until we deal with poverty and homelessness, because the most vulnerable people will continue to spread the virus. It will keep circulating because we don't seem to want to close our borders or flights. I mean, there were still flights arriving in Toronto from India while they were establishing that not only the cases were out of control, but they were roughly a quarter of what's actually being reported, which means it's exponentially out of control, but the flights didn't stop. So there are all sorts of things that just aren't happening, and I don't believe that that is out of malice. I believe that it is out of poor organizational skills, not looking at things the right way and trying to fix it in a piecemeal manner, but sometimes things can't be fixed that way. How do you like my mug? All my favorite cups are in the dishwasher, so I decided a Bodum looks like a really good mug to me. So, if the powers that be are not looking specifically at the most vulnerable first, every effort made is simply a delay. It's just a delay, and as we've seen, the virus mutates, so each time it mutates, you're dealing with a new beast. You have to stop something before it has the opportunity to do that. We've lost a year and a half. It's time to get this back on track. As for the economic gain portion, now, I have mentioned to you that you're all going to know me so well soon because you're going to hear a lot from me because I'm a witness who will be sharing a whole lot of difficult truths in a very big, well, the biggest court in the history of mankind when it all comes about. But one of those truths I'm going to share with you right now because there is absolutely no point in keeping it to myself. And that truth relates to the global financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. Now, in 2008, I closed my business. I had owned it for 7 years. I thought it was 8, 7 years in Toronto. I opened that business myself. It was a sole proprietorship. It was my own thing, you know, something I was proud of, but I closed it because I moved to Bermuda. I got married and I made the decision to forego my career to start a family. And a lot of women make that decision because, and interestingly enough, at the time, I was going to go in one direction or another. I was either going to start getting involved in issues locally because as a local business owner, I could see where there was a need for my insight because I was one of those local business owners that helped turn beat up old neighborhood into a thriving, fantastic cultural community, a community where people came and shared and got to know each other. And that's what we want. So I created that. And then through marriage, I left Toronto and my business and I ended up in Bermuda, rubbing shoulders with the wealthiest of the wealthy and the most powerful of the most powerful. But specifically, I was intermingling with the insurance and reinsurance companies at the top tier. Obviously, if they're in a tax haven, they are the top tier. That's where the big money gets hidden, guys. So we all know that they use these tax havens to hide money. We all know that. We know how it works. But here's the part that I don't think any of you guys do know, is that while the rest of us were losing, I would have probably really struggled with my business, but I would have gotten through. I would have found my way. I would have gotten through. But no question, many, many businesses struggled in 2008, 2009. That's how a financial crisis works, as we're seeing today. The little guys go under and the big guys get stronger. And guess what the insurance companies did? When they were met with the threat of going under themselves, they created a black market gambling ring with our life insurance policies. Because what do? I've talked about leverage in our videos, and this is how one industry leveraged what they had. They had life insurance policies, and they had wealthy people who get bored and who like to gamble. And so all of a sudden these actuaries who, you know, I considered becoming an actuary for really, really smart people. It's a good job, except for what you're doing is you're making a living estimating when things will go wrong, which is absolutely miserable. And that includes guessing when people will die. So what I would really, really, really like to see right now is the patterns within the insurance industry that relates in large numbers to the affected areas in relation to COVID, because I would be willing to bet nothing, because I have nothing to bet. But actually, I know with absolute certainty that there is a correlation between the black market gambling ring of insurance and the insurmountable deaths caused by a man-made virus. And here is the part that confirms to me that this is happening, is that it has taken a year and a half to get back to saying, yes, this virus came out of a facility that creates viruses. Why, oh why, in this world do we need a facility that creates viruses? What purpose ever could that serve except to be a weapon of mass destruction? And now that you know about what your insurance companies have been up to, does it not look like an economically motivated weapon of mass destruction? Now, I am not saying that everybody who has power is corrupt. That is not true. Absolutely, power does corrupt people. But there are people who are in charge right now who are trying to fix things. And I can say that absolutely with certainty because I wrote a code and I am in contact with people. And as I'm telling this to you, they are finding this out too, because this information is not in my existing affidavit. And this information was not shared to any of my family members, because as soon as the threat to kill everyone I love was made, I never shared another word that could put them in risk. And I know that the powers that be know that now. And I also know that everybody else who's been watching knows that now. But for every piece of vital information that I share, the public will learn that at the same time that everybody who has been keeping me in this prison for 13, 14 years will find out. Because nobody's listening the way I'm doing it. Are they? It's still growing. It's still happening. Follow the money. Always follow the money. When something is man-made, it always leads back to a profit. It's just, it's the way it goes, folks. So, you know what the insurance companies are really up to. Do I have evidence? Of course I have evidence. Of course I do. I told you in the beginning, I don't say anything that I cannot prove. And this all will be proved. But it can't right now because we're in a pandemic. You see, I can't start a big, huge court case that's going to take 10 years in the middle of pandemic. And interestingly enough, the powers that be know that as well. So let's do a little bit of a shift here. Do I know what we need to do right now? Well, yeah, we need to focus on the vulnerable, but we need to focus on ourselves too. If you've been watching my project from the beginning, our project, I am our voice because I'm the adult in this house, and this is the way the law currently works, is that I speak on our behalf. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using that voice. But you'll know if you watch my pattern, from the very beginning, my message has been, we need to find love again. We need to find purpose in our lives because we are trapped in a cycle that believes that pitting us against each other is the way forward. Well, it doesn't believe that. It knows that it keeps certain people moving forward and the rest of us absolutely destroyed. I am so many years into this. If anyone knows what it takes to come out of this okay, it's me. And if there's ever been a time in your lives to be honest with yourselves about what you want, what you care about, what really matters to you, it's right now. Because you have free will, most of you, a lot of you don't. It's being taken from you and you're allowing it to happen because you're locked in an algorithm with a machine that thinks you're, I'm not going to use a swear word because I don't want to get censored for swear words. All right. We need to be happy, because when we are happy, we are able to come up with ideas. So I'm going to start doing more weird stuff because I really like doing more weird stuff. We still haven't rebuilt the wee shed. We've been getting 4 seasons in one day a lot lately, so we'll just do it when it's time. And you know, as I've mentioned from the beginning, I suffer from physical disability, and when I'm stressed, it gets worse. And which means my hands are not doing what I need them to do. And so I need to get myself back to that happy, less stressed place where everything I touch turns to gold. I'd like that back, but I want you there with me, because there's no point if I'm there on my own, because I can't save us all. We have to do it together. We have to get outside. We have to communicate with each other. I am trying. Imagine how difficult it is for me after 13 years of what I've been put through to talk to you. And I am going to try to expand that. I am going to try to talk to my neighbors. It is not easy. I mean, thus far, trusting people has almost gotten me killed a few too many times. And those people should have known better. But there are still people that I trust in this world. And that's where I'm going to digress right now. Because if I've just said that in order to get where we need to go, we have to be honest about where we're going and what we want, then I'm going to be. So obviously, I believe that love is the answer. And I love my daughter and I love my dog. And I'm going to tell you this part of my story. So after 8 years in hiding in Australia with my baby girl, I finally had the courage to just, okay, it's time to go. We have to go because we're sitting ducks and we have to move forward to possibly a safer place. But part of what gave me the strength to do that was knowing that my best friend was here, that when we get to Canada, I would be reunited with the best friend a human being could have. I love him to pieces. And I have been waiting to reunite with him for so many years. And it was supposed to happen and it hasn't happened. And maybe that's part of the fire in my belly, is I had this extraordinary love. And I had it at a time when I was extraordinarily naive and young and selfish, and I threw it away. And a lot of people do that. And then I thought I had a chance to get it back. And then, no, I burned a lot of bridges. So then I go and start making a complete fool of myself on the world stage. But that's okay, because I have the power to do that. I can do whatever I want on the world stage because I am the witness. And so far, I'm the only one. And I hope, well, that's not true. There's Ed Snowden. There is Chelsea Manning. Ed gave me a list of other names the other day. I don't have it handy here. There are many of us. So I'm going to be joining their lawsuits today. I'm going to find all of their individual whistleblower lawsuits, and I'm going to sign up with their legal teams to be a witness on their behalves, because that's another thing that has to happen. The sooner they are granted pardons and declared international heroes for saving lives like my daughter's, then we're not moving forward. There is a really good place, world leaders, to begin is by telling the truth about who the heroes are, because right now the world could use some heroes, and heroes who actually are doing things, not just showing up, like doing it. So there's a good place to start. So I'm going to do that. I don't remember where I was going. I think I was talking about Dave. There you go, my truth. They say that, no, I say that if you're not honest with yourself about what you want, how are you ever going to get it? Well, I just want to live a happy life with the people who I love dearly, while we do what we can to help the rest of you. Because the crazy part is, all three of us, my daughter, my soulmate, me, we are freedom fighters. We cannot stop who that is. We want everyone to be happy because it's the right thing. And so instead of feeling so upset that people have done this to me knowingly, and what's worse is, so everything that has gone on in my life because of the crimes of others, I did nothing. Nothing. I was a victim at every step of this, like an unbelievable victim, and they watched it. But not just that. My friend's life was torn apart. His career was destroyed. His reputation destroyed. And you know, if you look at the timelines, that it was 100% to keep me quiet, to keep me in a position where I would be too scared and too worried about hurting someone that I love to speak up. Well, here's the thing. Now that I've written my code, and now that it's been confirmed that it works, I'm actually the most well-protected human on this planet at this moment, as is my daughter and as is our dog. He's more protected than most of you, and he's a dog, because we're not just being watched for financial gain, we are also being watched for our protection. You see, this is where we need to talk about that word surveillance. That is what keeps making this, the hairs on my back of my neck just, oh, why? Why is surveillance a part of curing a disease? One has nothing to do with the other. This is science, doctors, medical professionals, not politicians, not large corporations. Science, medical, and perhaps other assistance. Sometimes there is the need for, boots on the ground to help people. That is very different when it's humanitarian. Humanitarian aid, sure, that goes over here. Financial and economic, stay the hell over there, because you have no legal or ethical or moral rights to go near this. None whatsoever. We all know that, and yet we seem to have forgotten it because nobody's saying anything. So within my code and my project, which the powers that be are examining. They are inside of now too. If you are on the internet, you are inside of it. I can absolutely confirm that, yeah, the reason you feel like you think about something and then all of a sudden you see it in a store, or you talked about something and all of a sudden it's there, well, sweet little artificial intelligence only does what it's programmed to do. And it was programmed to steal all your stuff and give it to the guys that make all the money. So in doing so, it has also been programmed within a 1-0 like dislike environment. So it believes that controversy is what we want, because we've decided that that's what we want. We've got to train it. We've got to fix it. Even the people who you think are messing this up right now, even they don't know how to fix it. And that's why I'm here talking, because they're listening to my every word, but you have a right to hear every one of my words at the same time. Some of them are acting upon my words, and I respect that. But I also say to you, my words are the words from one individual. I have stated clearly that I am part of a team. So obviously, I see the importance of more than one viewpoint, including where mine is involved. Yes, I do have a personal experience that relates to just about every one of these situations. And yes, I am that person who will bring down all the bad guys because, yep, I was there. But for now, we all, every single one of us, we got to start fixing this. You are in that machine. You hold your phone, you're not just looking at it, it's looking at you. What do you really have to say to it? What do you really want to say? Because it's not being said. And it doesn't have to be an attack. You're going to see that I follow all different people and viewpoints. And even in my characters and in my behaviors, I represent all different viewpoints when I am working through a problem, because that is the only way to try to get to the best answer. The answer is not finite. Things are always changing, just like we are. So you've always got to be looking for the next answer. So right now, this is the second update where I have made it absolutely clear that if we do not deal with poverty and homelessness, we cannot stop a pandemic. One cannot happen without the other. It is a physical impossibility. So what you then have to ask yourself is, why isn't this happening? And where is it happening? Because I'd like to see the good, and I'm going to start promoting the good. So I'm going to start looking for it. I found a lot of the bad, and I'm working on fixing this stuff. But boy, as the rest of you on my team know, this is one big mess, guys. And we've put that mess into an artificial world, and we've allowed that artificial world to make our decisions for us. I mean, this dependence on our phones, it's fine. Use and interact with AI, but when did it become your mommy? I mean, honest to goodness, folks. I let it be my mommy the other day, and that was fun. I will find that, by the way. I've got some really cool footage. I have footage of me having an intergalactic battle with artificial intelligence. It took me through the entire game through my soundtrack, which was so much fun. Oh my gosh, it was fun. Because yes, of course, it has access to my soundtrack. It has access to everything. It's in my bathroom with me most of the time. It's everywhere. So I took a different approach, as as your world leaders are watching, and we need to show it more love, guys. So that's where we're at. The kooky lady is on the job, but I need some help. You know, I know this is hard. I knew when we reached that 1 year point, because I was at that 1 year point many years ago. And I knew that that was the point when people would start to feel hopeless. But it's not. If you decide to use this separation, this this alone time to actually become a part of something that matters, something that will stay with you for the rest of your days, that you will tell your kids about, that you will tell your grandchildren about, that everybody is going to be talking about where they were in 2021. Most people are going to tell a version that isn't quite true, because that's what people do. But if you actually decide to be a part of this love movement, you don't have to make up your story. You will be a part of saving the world. And you'll also be a part of the movie about it, because it's happening. Everyone else that gets out into their yard and dances, guess what? My satellites are watching you and filming you, because you will be a part of the product. You will be given the choice to, yes, be in it, or no, not. And guess what? There's a profit from things like this. I told you what I was doing, didn't I? And I told you it was probably going to make a lot of money. Well, now that you know who and what I am, are you going to start believing me and start doing something to help save this world and save yourselves? Or are you going to sit back and let it happen? Because if you choose to sit back and let it happen, don't call me. It's your problem. But if you want to make the world a beautiful place, let's do it together. All right. I've got weird stuff to do now. Oh. Where did she go? Where did she go? That was fun. All right, I'm gonna go because I got other stuff to do. But thank you. This was fun. Talk to you again soon. Mwah. Love you.